Okay, 8-3, we're going to keep going here. So we've cut this square in half, and we've pulled out one of the triangles. And so now let's look at this triangle a little bit more in depth here. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, and we're going to see if we added the squares of both of the sides, and then we set that equal to the hypotenuse here, h squared. So L squared plus L squared equals h squared. L squared plus L squared is 2L squared equals h squared. Now if we take the square root of both sides, then we end up with L comes out, times the square root of 2 equals h. So if we wanted to rewrite this triangle with just one variable, so these sides are congruent, we've got a 90-degree angle here, this is L, and this hypotenuse here is L times the square root of 2. And so now we have this special triangle 45, 45, 90 in terms of just one variable, in terms of the side length. So let's look at some examples of what we can do with this information. So if I have a triangle that looks like this, here's 90 degrees, this is 45 degrees. Now I know that this is 45 degrees because 90 plus 45 is 135. 180 minus 135 is 45. So I know if I have a 90-degree angle and a 45-degree angle, then this other angle is also 45 degrees. If this side is 6, and I want to find what my hypotenuse is, I know that my hypotenuse is 6 times the square root of 2. So x equals 6 times the square root of 2. Because down here, my side length times the square root of 2 is my hypotenuse. So my side length times my square root of 2. Now, if I wasn't sure about that, I could just say 6, and I know this is 6 as well, because this is 90 degrees, this is 45, 45, 90, so this is an isosceles triangle. So that means since the angles are the same, then the sides are also the same. So I could say 6 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. And I could do all of this work, and I could say 36 plus 36 is 72 equals x squared. Take the square root of both sides. And 72 is 9 times 8, right? And this is 2, 2, 2. And this is 3 and 3. And so I've got 3's I can come out, and a 2's that can come out, and 1, 2 that's stuck. And so this x equals 3 times 2, which is 6, times the square root of 2, which is stuck in there. So I can do it this way, or I can do it kind of this slick way here. Let's do another example. I have another right triangle, 90 degrees here. I can see 9 times the square root of 2, 9 times the square root of 2 are my side lengths, and I want to find, well, what x is. Now, first I got to see, is this my special right triangle here? I know that this is my special 45, 45, 90 because my sides are the same, and the included angle is 90 degrees. So that means these two angles here have to be the same measure, and there's only 90 degrees left to distribute between them two, and so 90 divided by 2 is 45. So I know this is 45, 45, 90. Now, how do I go from 9 square root of 2 to find my hypotenuse? So I could do it this same way, 9 square root of 2 squared plus 9 square root of 2 squared, or, and I can, work all that through until I get to the end, or I could say x equals, or the hypotenuse equals, the length here, the length, which is 9 times the square root of 2, times the square root of 2, times the square root of 2. And so I can say square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So that means x equals 9 times 2, which is 18. All right, let's have you do 2 on your own, and we'll take a look at how you did. So I have a right triangle here. This is 45 degrees. This is x, and this is 9. My other u-tri, 90 degrees, 6 square root of 2, 6 square root of 2, and x. All right, find what x is here, find what x is here, and we'll get back and see how you did. All right, pause and get to work. Okay, so this is 45, 45, 90. So that means the side value is 9. And if I want to know the hypotenuse, which is the one that's across from the 90-degree angle, then I say 9 times the square root of 2. X equals 9 times the square root of 2. And that's it. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to take the side, I'm going to multiply it by the square root of 2 in order to get my hypotenuse. I know this is 45, 45, 90 because 90 here, isosceles triangle, same angle, measures here. 90 divided by 2 is 45. So 6 square root of 2 times the square root of 2 equals x. Square root of 2 times square root of 2, that is the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. All right, let's keep moving. Here's another example. This time I have a right triangle, and I want to find out what x is. Here is my hypotenuse, is 12. Now, on these other ones, I knew the side length, and I was multiplied by the square root of 2 to find the hypotenuse. Now I have the hypotenuse, and I want the side length. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to divide by the square root of 2. Now, let's see what this can look like. So I want to know what x equals here, right? So I know that the length times the square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse, right? The length times the square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse, just like up here. Length times the square root of 2 is the hypotenuse. Okay, so I just wrote that down to help me. Now, I know that the hypotenuse is 12. Length times the square root of 2 is 12. And I know my length is x. So I'm going to switch out my L for x, because that's the side length. The side length is x. Now, in order to get x by itself, I've got to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Oops, square root of 2. And so x equals 12 over the square root of 2. Now, we have a problem here. We're not allowed to have 2 in the denominator. And so what we need to do is multiply this by 1. And the 1 I'm thinking of is the square root of 2 over 2. Any number divided by itself is 1. And so I can multiply any fraction by 1, and it'll be an equivalent fraction. So 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2. And 12 times the square root of 2 is 12 times the square root of 2. Now I have a little bit more to do because 12 divided by 2 is 6. So x equals 12 divided by 2, which is 6, times the square root of 2. So there's my answer. So this is called rationalizing the denominator here to get this radical out of the denominator. Okay, your turn. Oh, so let's write this up here, 6 square root of 2. Okay, next one, your turn. I have a right triangle, surprise, surprise. And this angle is 45 degrees. This side is x, and this hypotenuse is 18. I want to know what x equals in terms of if it ends up, I want exact value, which means that I don't want a decimal point. I want a radical sign if there is going to be one at all. Okay, so go ahead, follow this example to do this U-try. Go ahead and pause the video and get to work. All right, let's see how you did. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say x times the square root of 2 equals 18. So that's my side times the square root of 2 equals my hypotenuse. And so now I'm just going to divide by the square root of 2. X equals 18 over the square root of 2. I've got to rationalize my denominator, so I need to multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. And so I end up with square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, so square root of 4 is 2. 18 times the square root of 2, and then this becomes 9. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so 9 square root of 2 is what x equals. Let's do one more. Another U-try, getting close to the bottom here, but let's go like this. Pop, pop. Right triangle, x, 5 square root of 2 is the measure of the bottom. So go ahead and find out what x equals here. Go. Okay, so let's set this up the way we set the other ones up. X times the square root of 2 equals 5 times the square root of 2. So remember, I'm just setting this up so I have the hypotenuse x with a side times square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse, which in this case is 5 square root of 2. So if I divide both sides by the square root of 2, those go away. X equals 5. Ah, that one was easy. Hopefully you found that one easy as well. All right, we're going to look at now another special triangle, and that is the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so let me show you a way to understand 30, 60, 90 triangles. Okay, first we're going to draw an equilateral triangle. So now remember, an equilateral triangle, all of the sides are equal and all of the angles are equal, and each angle is 60 degrees. 60 plus 60 plus 60 is 180. They're all the same. They add up to 180, so 60 each. Now, I have my equilateral triangle. I'm going to write equilateral down here. Equilateral. And then I am going to draw an altitude right here from this angle down to the other side, 90 degrees. And when I do that, since this is an equilateral triangle, I am cutting this side equal to this side. I'm cut down right down in the middle. So let's take this thing out here and see what this looks like. One of the triangles. So remember, this angle down here on the right is 60 degrees. This angle up here got cut in half, and so this one is 30 degrees. Now, if this side, I'm going to call it S. These are all the same length, right? So I'm going to say this is still S, this side length. Now, this side, oh, should I call these S? Let's not. Let's say this one is S. And this one then is 2S. Sorry to be confusing, but anyway, that's the way the world works sometimes. So we're going to call this S and this 2S. Why am I calling this 2S and this 1S? Here's why. Because when I cut this triangle in half, I cut this, each side is the same length. And so if I cut this side in half, and I call this side S, oh gosh, then this side has to be twice this side length. So this side length is twice this side length. And so if this is S, then this is going to be 2S. That's a little bit better than saying this is S and this is half S. Okay, 2S, 1S. Now we got to figure out what this one is going to be. And this one is going to be S times the square root of 3. We can go through the reason why that is, but I'd rather just write it down here, and you can just know that it's S times the square root of 3. Okay, here's your special triangle. And let's do an example. I have a triangle, and this smaller side is X, this longer leg is 5, and the hypotenuse is Y. This is 60 degrees here, so I want to know what X is and what Y is. Now, I know this is a 30, 60, 90 because here's 60, here's 90, and all that's left in 180 is 30. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So now I can use this information up here to help me solve this. So if this is 15, remember, this is the longer leg. So the longer leg here is the side times the square root of 3. The smaller side times the square root of 3. Okay. So if I say X, that's the smaller side, times the square root of 3 equals the longer side. Then I can solve for X. Now also, let's find that smaller side, and then we can do the hypotenuse. So here we go, find the smaller side. I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. So I have X equals 15 over the square root of 3. Now I've got this pesky square root of 3 on the bottom, so I need to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. Now the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is square root of 9, which is 3. So X equals something over 3. It's 15 times the square root of 3. Now 15 divided by 3 is 5. So X equals 5 times the square root of 3. 5 times the square root of 3. Now I can use this, since this is the smaller side, I can use that to find the hypotenuse. Remember up here, the smaller side times 2 is the hypotenuse. So I say the smaller side, which is 5 times the square root of 3, times 2, that's going to get me my hypotenuse, which is Y. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times the square root of 3 equals Y. Okay, let's do a couple. You do one, and then you'll do another one. Here is a triangle, and this is 60 degrees, so you know it's a right triangle here with 60, 30, 90, 10 here, Y here, X here. So very similar to the one that we just did, except for we have the hypotenuse this time and not the longer length side or leg. I want to know what X equals, I want to know what Y equals, and I want you to see if you can make it happen. I suggest that you find X first. All right, go. All right, let's see how you did. So I know with a 30, 60, 90 triangle that the hypotenuse is 2 times the smaller leg, or the shorter leg. So 2 times the shorter leg equals the hypotenuse. So I'm just going to divide by 2, X equals 5. So the shorter leg there is 5. And now I know the longer leg is the shorter side times the square root of 3. Shorter side times the square root of 3. So I know the shorter side is 5 times the square root of 3 equals y. And there's nothing I can do to that. That's just the way it is. So 5 times the square root of 3 is my answer for y. Let's have you do another one. Right triangle, 30, 60, 90. The shorter side here is 21. The longer side is y. And the hypotenuse is x. I want to know what x is, and I want to know what y is. Or the value of x and the value of y. All right, go. All right, welcome back. So I'm going to, so here is my s value, right? This is the smaller side. That's where all of the 30, 60, 90, kind of all of the answers for solving this triangle start here. This is the easiest place to start, right? So if this is the smaller side, twice the smaller side gets me the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is the one that's across from the 90-degree angle. So that means 21 times 2 equals x. So 21 times 2 is 42 equals x. So 42 is x. Now, the smaller side times the square root of 3 is my longer leg. So y equals 21 times the square root of 3. There's nothing I can do to that one to simplify it at all. It's already simplified all the way. 21 times the square root of 3 is the longer leg, or the y value. And that is the end of 8-3. Sorry it had to get broken up into 2 videos, but there you have it. Good luck on the homework.